Hey, how are you today? If you're new here, you may not notice it. And if you haven't listened to some of my previous episodes, but if you've been around for a while, let me know how my voice sounds. I ended up getting a different microphone because I don't know, a couple episodes ago, I'd probably say like 8 to 10 episodes ago, it sounded like there was this echoing and or feedback. And then also you could like hear my chair squeak and I don't know, all kinds of things. So I'm trying this mic out to see if it helps. On today's podcast, I'm actually bringing up one that I've already recorded before. So it's when we lived in Maui. You'll hear me talk about the Maui Mountains, but it's really about the 3D and the 5D of money. And I think I've been dancing around this topic because I know we talk about 3D and 5D like in the self-development world, but I don't know if we talk about it in the financial industry or just finance world of what I mean by that. And so in this episode, I break down what I mean by the 3D and 5D of money. And I'm bringing this podcast back online because I'm starting Grow the CEO cohort in starting May 1st. And as I was, describing this to people, they understand what it is when I say 3D, like, our taxes and understanding how our bookkeeping works and investing, right? Like that's what, and I dive deeper into the podcast onto like what I mean when I say 3D. But that's what I mean, like in terms of inside the group, what that's going to entail. And then obviously the 5D is like the energetics and the emotions that we feel around money. And so much of our business is the 5D, right? There is the part, yes, of course, like you can't sit on your couch and, dream for your business to go from zero to whatever, right? And also how many of us try to overcompensate with the actions, right? The 3D of either doing more, hustling, or all the things versus the 5D of like how we actually feel on a consistent basis in our business and with our money. And so I wanted to just bring back this episode because I listened to it again yesterday. I'm like, man, it's so good because really we we have been taught that the 3D is kind of where we live. And yes, we do live on the material plane, right? We do live on planet Earth. And also, there's so much that happens in the 5D. So I hope you enjoy it. And if you are someone who is looking for a group that, number one, if you are wanting community of other heart-based entrepreneurs and you want to dive deeper into understanding and empowering yourself around your bookkeeping, around understanding taxes and the language and, investing your money, as well as how you are feeling and working through some of the money beliefs that you have and the feelings that you have around money, then I invite you to come over to generatealifewelllive.com and check out the invitation page and learn more and see if that's a good fit for you. So thank you as always for listening and sharing your time with me. And I'll see you next week.
Hello, hello. How are you? Are you an early morning person or a night owl? I am typically an early morning person and I love to see the sunrise over the Maui Mountains. It's really nice. I do love sunsets, but I'm typically in bed by like 7:30, 8 o'clock, lights out. This girl is worn out by the end of the day. So on today's episode, what I really want to talk about is 3D and 5D money and what's the difference. And when I say 3D or 5D, what I mean is like 3 dimension, 5 dimension. And I don't know if a lot of people talk about this, but 3 dimension is like what we can see with our senses, right? Feel, can see, I said see with our senses, but you can see, you can feel it, you can hear. Really like 3D is linked with and height, right? Um, and when I actually say this out loud, like money, it isn't really real at all, you know? And I'll get to that in a second. And then there's 5D money, which the science behind it really is just like you don't see it with your senses. It's really a vibration, it's a feeling. And I want to back up real quick and I want to just talk about money as a form of exchange, right? We use it to exchange value. But the only reason why money holds value is because we all agree on the representation of this value. And the point that I want to drive home is that we, you, me, every single human on this planet, we are the actual value. Like money is the byproduct of us. We are the ones that place value on things because without our placement of the value of that thing, then it wouldn't have any value. So let me give you an example. You think about the housing market, you think about the one in 2022 or the one in 2000 and what was it, 8 or 2009. The only reason why that house that was for sale cost $1 million is because we all agreed on the value of that house. But then when we introduce fear in the market, right, and the market tanks, now that same house we have collectively agreed is 500,000. The house hasn't changed, right? Still the same house, still has all of the features and the benefits in that house. But now we have decided that it's worth 500,000. So a little bit of some facts for you is that as little as 8%, I've read also some resources says 4% of the money that is in actual circulation exists in physical form. So what does that actually mean? If you were to take the $100 that you are looking at in your bank account, just for easy numbers, 8 of that $100 are actual physical notes. Like you can actually 3D, right? You can hold $8. The other 92 are just numbers on a screen. Like we went away from, the gold standard in the Western society. We went away from the gold standard back in the 70s, in the way that money was printed and backed by gold. Like literally, it's just numbers on a screen now. And the only reason why the system doesn't collapse is because we all collectively agree, right? We all collectively believe in it. And that's what's holding the system up. But that I want you, each of you, to understand that the true value, right, of money, we are the money. The value is within us. We are what creates the money. But we give so much of our power away to money. And I just want you to kind of ponder this week about how are you actually the asset, not money. Money is just the byproduct that comes because of you. So this is why I truly believe that it is so important that we develop our own internal value, right? We all have value. We are all worthy. We are all deserving. We are all lovable. Like that is just standard day one when we take breath on this planet. And then we get conditioned out of it to believe that we're not worthy, we're not deserving. We don't, our value isn't as much as somebody else's, which is all total bullshit. So when I say our internal value, what I mean is our wealth consciousness of changing our mindset from poverty conscious to wealth conscious. And when I say poverty conscious, a lot of people talk about people might have difficulty paying their bills. But for people like you and me that have money, but we've generated it from a place of fear and lack and scarcity and not enoughness and, forcing versus from abundance and love and joy. So the other thing that I want to drive home is that our self-worth does not equal our net worth. And that is something that during my time off, I really had to come to terms with or reckon or really heal and work through because I have this theory that, like, when we're in school, right, we get good grades and we get all this praise, right, for making good grades. And then as we become an adult, we just move the good grades to money. And it's like the more money we have, then the better we'll feel about ourselves. And we make money mean all of these things about us when really it means nothing. They're numbers on a screen. And like I said, like from the facts, it's like, and it actually doesn't even exist. So, really focusing on your value of who you are and your lovability and your worthiness and your deservedness. And we're all born wealthy and abundant. And we've just been so conditioned to believe otherwise. I mean, if you look at nature, there is no place that nature isn't abundant. It's just its natural state. And so are we. And we've just been told or conditioned, right, by parents, maybe by teachers, grandparents, whomever we've been around, right? Like that there is a limited amount of money. When you think about just like 3D money, when I'm talking about that, I mean like the cash, your cash equivalents, your investments, whether it's your 401k, IRA, SEP, Roth, mutual funds, stocks, ETFs. You get the idea here, right? Like debt, taxes. Those are all like, even though you may not be able to physically put your hands on it, right? Like that's that 3D money. Like that's the business world, the financial industry talks about money in that regard. And we do live in the material world, right? On the material plane, meaning that, like, yeah, you do need money for your house and to go on vacations and all of those things. But I think a lot of us put so much emphasis on the 3D part, yet when how we feel, right? The 5D, how we feel about money does not match up to what our 3D is. So the 5D version of money, that money is just energy, it is just a vibration. So when you think about, when I say money to you right now, if you were to just close your eyes if you want to, and I say money, how do you actually feel in your body? When I say it's time to pay for the kids' education, it's time to pay the mortgage, how do you actually feel in your body? Like that's the 5D version of money. And for me, this is true for me. I used to, I guess, not match up, right? Like in terms of, I would feel scarce and lack and fear a lot around money, even though my bank accounts had plenty of money in them, right? But my consciousness, my poverty consciousness that I had, and you can generate money, you can have a lot of money from fear. And I'm also encouraging you to think about, and what would it be like to generate it from love and abundance and joy and fun and unlimitedness, if that's even a word, right? Think about, what are some of your thoughts that you have on a consistent basis around money? And our brains are super boring. They give us the same thoughts. Like 90% of our thoughts are just on repeat. So just notice what you can do over the next week is you can think about, what are my top 5 thoughts that I have about money? A lot of times what I get from people is like there's never enough, when in actuality, if you were to actually look at their bank account, they have plenty, but we believe we don't have enough. And when we believe that we don't have enough, how does that actually make us feel in our bodies? So, what are some of the thoughts that you have around money? What are the feelings that you have? So when you think about, or you talk, to your spouse about money, and it's time to have the money talk, or you don't have it, what are those feelings that you feel? So when you are, using your credit card and you're paying for dinner, stop and actually feel what that feels like for that exchange. I'm just using easy numbers, right? For that $100 to go to the restaurant and the waitress or waiter, and for you to give and for them to receive. What does that feel like in your body? What does it feel like when you sit down and you pay your credit card bill for the month? What does that exchange feel like? When you look at the expenses that you know, that you're that you have, do you feel gratitude that you have money to pay for these things? Or are you experiencing guilt or shame or lack? And this takes some slowing down. This takes getting off of autopilot. This takes getting off of our phones, distractions, and really being present with our bodies. The goal, my intention for each of you is to move from wherever you are on the consciousness scale around money to wealth consciousness, is to have that feeling when you say money, when you handle money, when you talk about money, when you spend it, have it, generate it, save it, is that it's one from love and abundance and expansion, right? And it can even be neutral because that's really money is neutral. Like now, when I open up my bank account, I look at it and it's just neutral. Before, it was like almost like this, I wouldn't say panic, but definitely like, do we have enough? Which we always did, right? But it's this what we feel in our bodies, that five dimension. Over the next week, and this is also something, be really gentle and kind with yourself regarding this, because from what I found is money is a very highly charged, sensitive topic. And judging yourself for how you feel doesn't, it like stops the awareness. It doesn't allow you to move through it. So we all have felt shame around money. We all have felt guilt. I shouldn't say all because I don't know everyone, right? But like a lot of us do. A lot of my clients, what they've told me, yes, there's all of the range of emotions around money. So check in with yourself and just see, what are you feeling? And you may not even be able to name the feeling, and that's okay. Just notice where you're sensing what you're sensing in your body. And if you're not there yet, that's okay too. Notice the thoughts. What are the thoughts that are coming in that you have when you're handling, using, having, saving, generating your money? So let me know how it goes. I would love to hear.
And as always, from my soul to yours.